Tonight, federal agents uncover massive trafficking operation and corruption.
4:17 a.m. Phoenix, Arizona. The city was silent. A thin desert fog clung to the pavement, softened only by the amber glow of distant streetlights. The temperature had dropped into the low 50s, unusual for this time of year, and the air carried that strange stillness that only exists in the hours before dawn. Across the metropolitan sprawl, positioned in parking garages, behind strip malls, and along dusty frontage roads, over 400 federal agents waited in darkness. FBI tactical teams, DEA strike units, ICE enforcement squads, DHS investigators, Arizona State Police SWAT. They had been in position for 3 hours, engines off, radios silent, watching GPS signals pulse on encrypted tablets. Tonight, they weren't chasing street dealers. They were hunting an empire. The target list included 89 commercial freight trucks currently moving across Arizona highways. Each truck belonged to a company called Desert Meridian Logistics, a regional trucking firm that had grown explosively over the past 4 years. On paper, it was a success story. In reality, it was a cartel weapons system. At exactly 4:32 a.m., the order came through encrypted channels. Execute. Across 17 locations simultaneously, the night exploded into action. On Interstate 10, west of Tucson, 3 Desert Meridian trucks were rolling in loose formation toward the California border. The drivers saw the flashing lights appear behind them and assumed it was a routine DOT stop. They pulled onto the gravel shoulder, engines idling, waiting for the inspector to approach. What approached instead was a wall of federal vehicles. FBI tactical units boxed the convoy from all sides. Agents in black body armor moved fast, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The drivers were pulled from their cabs before they could reach for phones or weapons. Within 90 seconds, all 3 were face down on the asphalt, wrists bound in flex cuffs. K-9 units circled the trailers. The dogs hit immediately. Agents used portable density scanners along the trailer walls. The readings showed anomalies. False panels, hydraulic voids. They cut through the interior fiberglass and found what they were looking for. Stacked behind the walls, wrapped in industrial plastic and stamped with a Cartel Scorpion logo, were 400 kilograms of pure cocaine. Beside it, sealed in vacuum bags, sat another 200 kilograms of methamphetamine. At the same moment, 20 miles north, a second strike team breached a Desert Meridian warehouse on the outskirts of Mesa. This facility was listed as an agricultural equipment depot. The reality was different. When SWAT teams blew the loading bay doors, they found 12 men in the middle of unpacking a shipment. The floor was covered in open crates that should have contained tractor parts. Instead, they contained fentanyl, over 100 kilograms of it, pressed into pill form. Nearly 2 million fentanyl pills ready for distribution across the American Southwest. The workers tried to run. They didn't get far. In Scottsdale, another team hit a luxury estate in the Paradise Valley foothills. This wasn't a warehouse. It was a command center. The 3-story mansion belonged to a man named Ricardo Vega, the CEO of Desert Meridian Logistics. When agents breached the front door, they found Vega in his home office, frantically feeding documents into a shredder. He was tackled before he could finish. On his desk sat 3 encrypted laptops, a satellite phone, and a leather briefcase containing $400,000 in cash. But it was what they found in the basement that changed everything. Behind a false wall, accessed by a biometric lock, agents discovered a server room, 12 racks of humming equipment, encrypted hard drives, financial records, communication logs, and a single sealed steel box containing a document that would shake the state of Arizona to its foundation. Type sealed box if you're starting to see how deep this goes. 9:15 a.m. FBI Cyber Forensics Division, Phoenix Field Office. The servers seized from Vega's mansion were already being analyzed. Federal cyber analysts worked in a secured basement facility, surrounded by screens displaying cascading data streams. The encryption on the hard drives was military grade. It took 6 hours to crack. When they did, the room went silent. The files revealed a network diagram, a sprawling web of connections linking Desert Meridian Logistics to over 40 shell companies spread across 3 countries. Ghost corporations with names like Sonoran Capital Partners, Copper State Holdings, and Verde Valley Agricultural Trust. Each company existed only on paper. Each one moved money. The financial analysts traced the flows. Drug proceeds from street sales in Phoenix, Tucson, and Los Angeles were funneled into these shell companies. From there, the money moved to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, then to banks in Panama, then back into the United States as legitimate business investments. Over 4 years, this network had laundered an estimated $2.4 billion. But the money wasn't the worst part. The analysts found a master file labeled Project Coyote. When they opened it, they saw a blueprint. a strategic plan for transforming Arizona into a permanent cartel logistics corridor. The plan was detailed. It included schedules for drug shipments, routes for human trafficking operations, and timelines for expanding into neighboring states. And at the top of every document, authorizing every shipment, approving every transfer, was a digital signature. The signature belonged to Governor Martin Blackwell. I need you to understand what this means. This wasn't a case of a corrupt official taking bribes. This was a sitting governor actively commanding a cartel operation. Blackwell wasn't just compromised. He was the architect. The FBI analysts pulled his encrypted communications. They found messages coordinating with Sinaloa cartel leadership in Mexico. They found authorization codes for shipments. They found a schedule showing that Blackwell personally approved the movement of over 12 tons of fentanyl into the United States over the past 18 months. This is not corruption. This is command-level treason. And the operation had just begun. Comment treason if you understand why this case became a national priority. 5 a.m. the following morning. FBI Joint Operations Command Center, Phoenix. The room was cavernous. 50 federal agents sat at workstations arranged in concentric semicircles, all facing a massive digital display that covered the entire front wall. On the screen, a map of Arizona pulsed with red markers. Each marker represented a known desert meridian facility, a suspected cartel safehouse, or a property linked to Governor Blackwell's network. There were 63 markers. The man standing at the front of the room was Special Agent in Charge David Reyes. He had spent 18 months building this case. Tonight, he would end it. Reyes addressed the assembled teams. The mission briefing was precise. They would execute a synchronized statewide strike at dawn. The objective was total network collapse. Every facility, every vehicle, every operative, all at once. The resources deployed were staggering. Over 1,000 federal agents drawn from FBI, DEA, IC, and DHS. 40 SWAT teams. 12 Black Hawk helicopters for aerial surveillance and rapid deployment. Armored vehicles positioned at key intersections. Even U.S. Navy reconnaissance aircraft had been tasked to monitor the Mexican border for any attempt to flee south. At 5:30 a.m., the operation launched. In Phoenix, teams hit a Desert Meridian corporate office complex. The building was supposed to be administrative. Instead, agents found a hidden basement containing a communication hub, satellite uplinks, encrypted radio equipment, a direct line to cartel operatives in Sinaloa. In Tucson, a strike force breached a ranch property 30 miles south of the city. The ranch was registered as a cattle operation. There were no cattle. Instead, agents found a drug superlab concealed inside a barn. Industrial-grade chemical equipment, ventilation systems, drums of precursor chemicals. The facility was capable of producing 500 kilograms of methamphetamine per month. In Yuma, near the border, teams discovered something worse. A network of tunnels running beneath a warehouse complex. The tunnels stretched nearly half a mile, crossing under the border fence into Mexico. They were reinforced with concrete, equipped with electric lighting, and fitted with rail systems for moving cargo. Agents found evidence that these tunnels had been used for years. Not just for drugs, for people. Human trafficking records were seized. Manifests showing hundreds of migrants smuggled through the tunnels, delivered to labor camps and trafficking operations across the Southwest. The cartel wasn't just moving narcotics. They were moving human beings. Type tunnels if this revelation disturbs you. By noon, the scope of the seizures was overwhelming. Across Arizona, federal agents had secured 21 tons of narcotics. The breakdown was devastating. 12 tons of cocaine, 4 tons of methamphetamine, 3 tons of fentanyl, including over 8 million fentanyl pills, 2 tons of heroin. They had seized over $67 million in cash, found in safe houses, vehicle compartments, and underground vaults. They had arrested 312 individuals, including all 89 targeted truck drivers, 47 warehouse operatives, and over 100 cartel associates. And they had captured Ricardo Vega, who was already cooperating with federal prosecutors. But the biggest target was still outstanding. Governor Martin Blackwell had not been seen since the raids began. His mansion in Scottsdale was empty. His office in the state capitol was vacant. His phone was off. The FBI issued an alert. Blackwell was now a federal fugitive. Comment fugitive if you want to know how they found him. The hunt for Blackwell lasted 6 hours. Federal agents tracked his movements through surveillance footage and cell tower data. He had fled Phoenix before dawn, heading west toward California in a private vehicle. But he never made it to the border. At 4:15 p.m., a Black Hawk helicopter spotted his vehicle on a rural highway near Quartzsite, Arizona. The car had pulled off the road. Blackwell was standing beside it, staring at the sky, watching the helicopter descend. He didn't run. He didn't resist. When agents approached, Blackwell was holding a briefcase. Inside were documents, financial records, communication logs, a full accounting of his involvement with the Sinaloa cartel. He had brought his own evidence. The arrest was broadcast on national television within hours. The image of a sitting governor in handcuffs, being escorted into an FBI vehicle, became the defining moment of the case. But the investigation wasn't over, because Blackwell wasn't just a corrupt official. He was a symptom of a much larger disease. Type disease. If you see, this goes beyond one man. The forensic examination of seized records continued for weeks. What investigators found painted a picture of systematic infiltration that extended far beyond Governor Blackwell. The cartel had compromised law enforcement at every level. 23 Arizona state police officers were found to have received regular payments from Desert Meridian accounts. In exchange, they had provided advance warning of enforcement actions, altered patrol routes to avoid cartel convoys, and falsified reports to cover smuggling operations. 14 Border Patrol agents had been bribed to ignore specific crossing points during designated windows. The tunnels near Yuma had operated for years because the agents responsible for that sector were on the cartel payroll. 7 local judges had received payments disguised as consulting fees. In return, they had dismissed cases against cartel associates, reduced sentences, and delayed prosecutions. Even 3 state legislators had been compromised. They had sponsored legislation designed to reduce highway enforcement funding and restrict police surveillance capabilities. Laws written by the cartel. The honest officers who had worked alongside these traitors were devastated. One veteran highway patrol sergeant, upon learning that his own partner of 12 years had been accepting cartel money, broke down in the FBI interview room. He said he felt like his whole career had been a lie, that he had been protecting the state while his colleagues were selling it. The federal response was absolute. All compromised officers were arrested. All corrupted judges were removed from the bench. All implicated legislators faced federal charges. The message was clear. The badge would be rebuilt from the ground up. Comment rebuild if you believe accountability matters. The scope of Project Coyote extended beyond Arizona. Investigators analyzed shipping routes and financial transfers that connected Desert Meridian to operations in California, Nevada, New Mexico, and Texas. The cartel had been using Arizona as a hub to supply distribution networks across the entire Southwest. Trucking manifests showed that Desert Meridian vehicles made regular deliveries to warehouses in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Albuquerque, and El Paso. Each delivery contained legitimate freight mixed with concealed narcotics. The system was designed for scalability. At full capacity, the network could move 15 tons of narcotics per month across state lines without triggering a single federal alert. The financial infrastructure was equally sophisticated. Shell companies in each state received wire transfers from the Arizona hub, then distributed funds to local cartel cells. The money flowed like water through a river system, impossible to trace without understanding the entire network. But the most chilling discovery came from Blackwell's personal files. Investigators found a strategic document outlining a 10-year plan. The plan called for expanding the Arizona model to 3 additional states. The goal was to install cartel-friendly officials in key positions, compromise law enforcement at scale, and establish permanent logistics corridors that would operate regardless of federal enforcement pressure. The document described Arizona as a proof of concept, a demonstration that American democracy could be purchased, one official at a time. One line from the document stood out. It read, "The system was not infiltrated. The system was redesigned." Type redesigned if you understand what the cartel was building. The trial of Governor Martin Blackwell began 4 months after his arrest. Federal prosecutors presented over 6,000 pieces of evidence. Encrypted communications, financial records, witness testimony from over 40 cooperating defendants. Blackwell's defense attempted to portray him as a victim of manipulation. They argued he had been deceived by cartel operatives who had infiltrated his administration. The jury didn't buy it. After 3 weeks of testimony, Blackwell was convicted on all counts: conspiracy to distribute narcotics, money laundering, racketeering, human trafficking conspiracy, public corruption. The sentence was life in federal prison without the possibility of parole. Ricardo Vega, who had cooperated extensively with prosecutors, received a reduced sentence of 25 years. The 89 truck drivers received sentences ranging from 15 to 30 years depending on their level of involvement. The compromised law enforcement officers, judges, and legislators all faced federal prosecution. Most accepted plea agreements. Those who went to trial were convicted, by the time the legal proceedings concluded, over 400 individuals had been charged in connection with Project Coyote. It was the largest public corruption prosecution in American history. The impact on the drug trade was immediate. DEA intelligence reports showed a 47% reduction in cocaine and methamphetamine trafficking through the Arizona corridor in the months following the operation. The Sinaloa cartel had lost its most valuable American asset. Comment justice if you believe accountability was served. The aftermath of Operation Dustfall, as the FBI named the strike, extended far beyond criminal prosecution. Congress launched investigations into how a sitting governor could operate as a cartel asset for years without detection. The hearings produced damning testimony about failures in campaign finance oversight, inadequate vetting of political appointees, and insufficient coordination between federal and state law enforcement. New legislation was introduced to require enhanced background investigations for candidates seeking major office. Transparency requirements for political contributions were strengthened. A joint federal-state task force was established to monitor public officials for signs of corruption. The economic impact was significant. Desert Meridian Logistics filed for bankruptcy. Its assets were seized and auctioned. Over 2,000 employees lost their jobs. They were innocent workers who had no idea their paychecks were funded by cartel money. The communities that had been flooded with cartel drugs began the slow process of recovery. Addiction treatment programs received emergency federal funding. Law enforcement agencies that had been compromised underwent complete reorganization. Trust, once broken, would take years to rebuild. But something had changed. The cartel had learned that American states were not for sale, that the cost of purchasing political power would always exceed the benefit, that federal law enforcement could and would dismantle any network, no matter how sophisticated, no matter how connected. The message was clear, and it was permanent. If you're still watching, tap like so more people see this story. Power does not always announce itself with violence. Sometimes it moves quietly, through wire transfers and shell companies, through handshakes in back rooms and signatures on documents that no one reads. The Sinaloa cartel understood this. They didn't invade Arizona with soldiers. They invaded with money. They purchased a trucking company. They corrupted a governor. They built a system designed to operate in plain sight, protected by the very institutions that were supposed to stop it. For 4 years, it worked. 21 tons of poison flowed through American highways. Fentanyl pills that would kill thousands. Cocaine that would destroy families. Methamphetamine that would hollow out communities. Human beings trafficked like cargo. The cost cannot be measured in dollars. It is measured in lives. In children who lost parents to overdose. In parents who buried children. In neighborhoods that became open-air drug markets. In the slow erosion of trust that makes democracy possible. But the cost of silence is always higher than the cost of action. Operation Dustfall proved that no empire is too large to fall. That no official is too powerful to face justice. That when federal agencies coordinate, when investigators share intelligence, when prosecutors build airtight cases, the shield of political protection shatters. Governor Martin Blackwell believed he was untouchable. He believed the cartel's money had purchased permanent immunity. He believed that power, once acquired, could never be taken away. He was wrong. 89 trucks intercepted simultaneously. 21 tons of narcotics seized. $3.4 billion in cartel assets destroyed. 400 individuals prosecuted. One governor sentenced to life in prison. And a message sent to every cartel leader looking north. American democracy is not for sale. American institutions, however imperfect, however slow, however frustrating, will eventually find the truth. And when they do, the response will be absolute. This story is a warning. About ambition corrupted by greed. About systems designed to protect us being turned against us. About the constant vigilance required to keep democracy functioning. The highways are safer today. The corridors are closed. The tunnels are sealed. The corrupt officials are in prison. But the cartels are patient. They will try again. They will find new weaknesses, new officials willing to be bought, new systems to exploit. The only question is whether we will be watching. Comment expose if you want this corruption dragged into the light. Share this video if you believe others need to see how deep it can go. Subscribe if you want me to continue exposing how cartels infiltrate American systems. Because this story proved something essential. The war against organized crime is not fought with armies. It is fought with information, coordination, and the relentless pursuit of accountability. Operation Dustfall was a victory, but it was also a reminder. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and the cost of looking away is always paid in lives. Remember, this story is fictional, created for dramatic storytelling purposes only, but the threats it describes are real, and the vigilance it calls for is more necessary than ever.